Well, welcome to the Visionary Track. We've had some awesome talks so far, and they only keep getting better. I am Amber J. Lawson. I am your hostess. I'm a managing partner at Storytech, bridging the gap between technology and storytellers. Our next visionary, a guy who's been really at the forefront of this space at Next New Networks, which then merged into YouTube, and is heading up these YouTube studios, or what do you call this, spaces? And so I know in my community that we are all abuzz. I went and saw the space in LA. It is state of the art, it's gorgeous, and it's an awesome place for creators to interact, share ideas, and heighten their production. And so Lance is all about for creators and by creators and enabling their creation. So without further ado, I want to turn this over to Lance Podell. Woo!
Thank you. So I'm Lance Podell, and I am the director and global head of the YouTube Next Lab. And the YouTube Next Lab is precisely what Amber described. It is for creators, by creators. Our role is to help the new version of creators, producers, directors, editors, writers, think about YouTube as their primary platform, or at least as a platform in the mix of their media efforts. And our job is to educate, inform, and help spark the creative process for creators that are looking to use YouTube. So sometimes it's more fun to show it. One of our newest announcements is that we have recently opened up what we're calling the YouTube Space LA. The first effort was the YouTube Space London that opened this past summer. YouTube Space LA opened at the end of this year. We are opening a space in Asia, news to come, and then we will open up a YouTube space, a more formal YouTube space beyond the office we have in New York City in 2014, so that we are spreading the love globally. And I'd love to show it to you before we talk about it. So if we could roll the tape, that'd be great. Where's it going to be?
I will always come back to you. Even in the meantime, I will always stand by a mirror on the shelf. I hope never have to take back. Said it in the night. I hope that I'll always have all lives. And you know that I'll take what I can when they're standing by, soft, speaking in the dead of night.
Thank you. It's cool. I really barely even need to speak because it's just really cool. And the truth is that what we're trying to do is inspire a whole new community. And Inspiration is great when it's free. This is a free facility for YouTubers. People enter here in a number of ways, but the primary way in which you enter as a YouTube creator is to apply to be a part of a class. And right now the class, we just launched our first class for the first quarter. And the folks you saw there were folks that use the facility. So we have folks coming through in what we're currently calling the incubator, this class of people that come to work together and collaborate. When you looked at the facility, hopefully you noticed not just amazing technology, because it really is amazing. Hopefully you also noticed the Home Depot in the back. It looked like Home Depot with production equipment. So when you become a part of the class, you can badge in or badge out equipment that you need to use, cameras, recording equipment, etc. Hopefully you also noticed what we're calling the crow's nest, the space where you can sit and meet upstairs, have production meetings, run into other YouTubers and think how your channels might collaborate. Hopefully you noticed the event space in the front, where the doors are purposely built to be garage doors so we can have activities, events, and programs for hundreds of creators at a time. The space is meant to accomplish all of that. I think of it as fairly revolutionary in that it's a very open studio environment. Can you go to the next slide? Oh, I can. Right. Okay, great. So our mission is to learn, share, and create. Supercharge the growth of channels on YouTube by fostering hands-on innovation, collaboration, and education of creators. As in any mission statement, all those words are very carefully picked. We don't just expect you to come here and innovate. If you're not also going to collaborate, you're not invited. If you're going to come here and collaborate, but you're not going to innovate, not invited. If you're not going to help educate, so if you're even a celebrity at this point beyond YouTube, maybe a celebrity coming from another medium and you'd like to use this facility, and we've had many come through, the expectation is you'll work with YouTubers as well to think about how they can bring you their learnings and you can share your learnings with them. So in April 2012, we broke ground in Playa Vista, California. In July of 2012, we launched the Creator Space in London. And I wanted to take you 4 seconds through a program we launched called Creators Invade London, which was around the Olympics. We brought 30 channels over together to London, representing probably about 100 creators with the teams involved. And each of those 30 creators that came to the Olympics and did all of the peripheral content around the Olympics. We didn't actually go into the Olympic stadiums and do Olympics work, but we did indeed meet with a lot of the Olympians. We met with lots of the restaurants and venues that were housing everybody, etc. And we'd had these 30 creators come to London globally from around the world, and they each were responsible for 10 channels back at home. And they built a pod, if you will. So one might have been food. One was the science of the Olympics. You know, how does the javelin really work? And we brought all of these people together into the space in London to build the production facilities and drive home what could happen if everybody came together and worked together, and out of it came hundreds of millions of views. Very impressive endeavor. In November, we opened the YouTube space in LA, and then in February in Tokyo. What we believe. Our spaces are all about collaboration, and they're designed to facilitate this. I just showed you that. I wanted to show you versus tell you because I think it's more apparent when you look at the space. We believe creators are more ambitious than their current situation allows, right? If you think about a lot of how you think of YouTube, you think of people behind their camera at home in their bedroom. Many of these people, not just a few, are the creators of the future. They are what you will think of when you think of celebrities in 5 and 10 years' time. They are breaking out from behind their camera in their bedroom because of opportunities that we explore with them to come work in a facility where they can learn more and do more and get on the job training and see how far their creative ambitions can take them. It's also educational and learning facility. We have master classes. We take some of our senior YouTubers, our real YouTube celebrities and stars, and we have them think about what's next for me in my career. Wow, do I need an agent? You know, am I thinking about other media? What other kinds of things are next for me? How does the advertising model really work for me now that I have, you know, hundreds of millions of views? And then how can I teach new creators to come up in the field? And then lastly, we believe we are breaking down barriers. Everybody should be comfortable here, no matter what kind of a show you might have. And I list some here: talk shows, musical performances, action, sci-fi. Neophytes and experts are all coming together in this one space, breaking down the barriers of how we think today of being invited in behind the gates, right? And now saying you don't need to be invited in, you're just welcome. and we expect you to take forth and multiply. So that's what we believe. We are super excited about this facility in LA. The facility in LA is our first and probably only freestanding facility. The ones in London and the ones we're opening in other markets are connected to YouTube and Google buildings wherever we might be. And we are also going to be exploring probably in the second half of the year franchising models where we're not actually going to be building the space, but there are plenty of studios globally. We're focused on Latin America, we're focused on Eastern Europe and other markets where we would really love to see YouTube markets created. So we hope to help facilitate those down the road, but I think before we go there, our philosophy is we ought to get our model right in our facilities at home, understand what works, understand our utilization rates, understand how creators do ultimately work together and what of the spaces they find the most romantic and inspiring for them so that we can think about how we want to move forward in that way. I've got about 8 minutes left. I purposely cut it short, hoping some folks might have questions. If you do, yeah, I see one already. If you do, I'd love to address them more specifically. That may be a first for me, by the way.
Awesome. Please raise your hand that you finished early.
Yeah, I finished early.
I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I am too. I'm sure my wife would be even more so.
Hi, I just actually got the last part of this incredible presentation. And I am I'm in sync with what you're talking about to innovate, collaborate, and educate. And I am doing a project about that. However, I'm from the older generation,
Right.
and I have a very young staff, a savvy production staff, and a young cast of actors, about 20 from.
Did you say sadly?
Savvy.
Oh, savvy. Good, because I'm thinking that's not so sad. Look, I got fancy new glasses because I felt so old.
And my question is also I actually said this to Mark Cuban the first day, is, you know, I love everything that's going on. I am, I'm willing to learn, but my eyesight, sometimes I can't see the computer, or the kids are doing it too fast, and it's like everything is going so fast.
Right.
So I'm trying to think if there's a way for people to help to cater to the elders that really want to be in the loop.
So let me try to answer your question, because it's a question that extends even beyond the part of my business. So I run the Spaces business globally, but I also run the Next Lab. You missed the beginning. And the Next Lab consists primarily of 4 units. Programming strategy support. How do I think about timelines and hosts, and how do I think about tentpole events, and how do I think about engaging with my audience during the creative endeavor of the video?
Exactly.
Then production strategy, that comes out of the Spaces: lighting, post-production, edit, motion capture, crazy things you hadn't thought of before. Then we have audience development. How do I work with folks that have started to build an audience to really supercharge that audience and grow? And then the last group I manage is a programs group. So we offer one-to-one, one-to-many, and one-to-all, as we refer to it in company jargon, programs. Interestingly, in the one-to-all bucket, we have an audience development playbook that is live on the youtube.com/creator site, where we actually take you through the steps of doing this, right? Your own pace, your way. Second thing we do is we will this year add 30 videos to that site, which will be training videos.
Fantastic.
We have a channel where we will actually be videoing the work going on in the Spaces to turn them into educational opportunities for others. So let me just take you back to being a part of Google, right, versus my world of being a part of Next New Networks, where we were creative and independent and young and thought about the 5 things we needed to do. What makes this so inspiring for me is that our job is to scale this effort, right? Our job's not to reach 30 creators that come through the space every quarter. It's to turn that into reaching thousands of creators, so every single thing we do gets described, gets written up, gets shared in some capacity or another. We videotape. When you walk into the facility, you sign a paper that says, I may and will be videotaped at all times doing what I'm doing here. And we will share that. And we have this playbook program. And we have strategists in our group that work with people that are partners, that are already YouTube partners. So in many ways, we offer a line for everybody to learn. And I think that is my mandate as a manager. That's my job in my group.
It's mine to teach the real craft of acting to the younger generation, that they're getting lost in the outside of themselves, the computer things where they're walking and they're texting each other.
Right.
So, I'm going back to Stella Adler, Strasberg,
Sure.
Meisner,
Sure.
Stanislavski. You have to be hands-on with them to
Right.
educate them.
Well, and we
in a
believe the
real
same.
way.
Right.
So, it's good to do it through the innovation, but also, people need to take these kids and say, okay, time to wheel you back in with your, emotion. They're not like getting it.
Well, that's what the platform of YouTube is, right? In order for people to express themselves, and that's what YouTube is.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to the next question.
After this week, first of all, YouTube has been like the best thing about NATPE this year, and this whole content.
Thank you. That's great to hear.
I have been actively contemplating setting up for lack of a better word, an artist commune of YouTubers. I've got 20,000 square feet, studios, and that type of stuff. Is there some sort of, somebody has done this? Is there any sort of blueprint that maybe I could follow?
Not yet. I think we're creating one now, right? And commune would be a strong word for us to use, right? No, and I mean that sincerely. Ours is a bit more structured than that, right? You can't just come and go at will. We really do, we take, it's a bit like a university, right? We are taking applications for a certain number of spots in the spaces. Once you're in, it gets very communal, right? And even if you're not in, we hope if you didn't get accepted, you'll apply again. I feel a little bit like American Idol here, but we hope you'll sort of apply again, and then also that you'll watch the videos and all the learnings that are coming out of it. But we're really at the forefront of it now, right? So is there a model yet? I mentioned the franchising thing. Probably not. We do know, at YouTube we know that creators collaborating with each other is the strongest form of marketing anybody else's channel. And that my channel grows because a trusted other channel that's like mine talks about me and I talk about them, and we know that there's a rising tide floats all boats. We know it has to be relevant, we know it has to be contextual, but we know that people respond to that. So the communal aspect is super important. Plus, I'm a believer, and I think this woman over here would say too, that putting people in a room and banging atoms together is always a good idea, coming up with new ideas, new formats, new approaches. Stanislavski might be one way to teach acting. There's 3 others we don't know about yet, right? And Stanislavski's old news in some ways, but really rich in history. Well, the same thing's happening here. There's an old way to create media, and there's a new way to create media, and that's all being figured out now. And that's what we feel is our responsibility. So I think we're simpatico on that, but we don't have enough of an answer yet.
Good afternoon, Lance. My name is Jorge Nuno. I'm a creative director and principal at an advertising agency in Los Angeles. But a word that I didn't see on your mission statement was community, right? I'm also a founder and chair of a nonprofit in South Los Angeles that focuses on education, technology, and entrepreneurship. And I saw your article maybe a couple of months ago, and I thought, wow, this would be a great, how can we create a partnership where we become like a satellite location? Because a lot of our youth, and I focus with a lot of young kids, at-risk youth in South LA.
So just to interrupt you for a second, interested, right? There's lots of things we're taking on in the community of LA, and we're taking on, we've worked with professors already, we're working with students, we're working actually with the city government, right, to think about how to bring the next people in. In New York, one of the things we're actually doing through the mayor's office in New York, and we're doing out of my office in New York, is thinking about what's really lacking in this process is the next level. In the old days, we used to talk about we need the next PAs, right? Well, in our world, we believe we need the next audience development managers. So we're going out and helping underprivileged youth and kids that are starting out to think about moving into a career here that's a new, wide opening area. If you are interested in having a specific conversation, we can do that, and I can put you in touch with the right people.
Definitely, I'll do that.
Is that ultimately where your question was going? Because
yes,
I'm just getting a little pressed for time. I
just wanted to see that your creative space in LA is intentional about thinking community, thinking nonprofit, because a lot of these youth have great stories to tell.
Yeah. In fact, one thing I'll add is one of the things we have, a lot of the wall space is just white. And we've talked a lot about, the freedom of white space. And I worked for Chiat Day in the 80s, and I'm a big believer in the philosophy of out of chaos comes creativity, and with a free blank space, you don't know what will come from it. We have left that blank on purpose because we expect to work with local artists that might inspire people and bring that artwork into the facility as well. So not unlike trying to work with the local youth. And I think that is a part of, in fact, it's really a Google principle globally anyhow, in terms of a philosophy as a company. So definitely an open door.
Great, great. So we think global, act local, right?
Yeah, and we do.
Great.
Very defiant, very ardently.
Awesome. One more question?
Hi, my name is Joey Garcia. I'm an independent filmmaker, and I was wondering, what is the best advice for web content? Because I know that that's the future of this whole industry pretty much. I was wondering what
that question has to be a little more tightly defined for me. When you say advice, I mean, we could spend 3 days, but what do you mean? What are you saying? How do I get started on YouTube? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
or
what would be the most successful way to get started on YouTube?
build a channel and start creating content. In fact, one of the things I will say to everybody, and I don't know what this, I should have asked at the beginning what the room is, who the people are in this room. I'm going to presume that most of you aren't really creators, but what we tell everybody is get started. Right? You have a laptop, it's got a camera, start using it and start producing something and find out if people start to watch and why they watch and what they like and what they don't like, and evolve and adapt your programming that way. I have a channel. No one would watch it. But I have a channel for 2 reasons. One is I've got kids and it's a lot of fun for them, and my daughters love to dance and perform. And I put it up there primarily because I felt like I couldn't help creators if I wasn't a creator myself, right? So it's that simple, and I actually have this ridiculous video many years ago that I took of when my kids were little of the surprise that they're going to Disney World, right? And we surprised them, and I thought, oh gosh, you know, I work in video, I gotta video this thing, it's blasphemy if I don't. So I did, and it's got like, 40,000 views. And I learned a lot from that silly little experience about, and people have a lot of feedback. And that has helped me learn a lot. Mostly they're annoyed with my son because he didn't show enough gusto for the excitement. They thought my daughters appropriately responded. But my point is, I just put it up, right? And I'm learning a lot, and then I start to use the tools. And I start to figure out what it would mean to monetize, and could I crop, and could I annotate, and what happens when I think about how to respond to comments, and there's nothing like doing. So that's what I would really say. And I, we were at Sundance last week. I wasn't there, but we were. And out of Sundance came this really interesting, there's a lot of rules around the Academy Awards and getting nominated, and when you can show and not show, but there's nothing that prevents you from showing on YouTube. And a lot of independent filmmakers and early creators are starting to get a sense of their project by putting parts of it up on YouTube, the same way authors put bits of it in the New Yorker. And that's a great idea, right? So think that way.
One last question. How many other spaces are you launching in the next couple years?
We really, as of right now, the plan is 4 that we manage. Don't know where it goes from there, right? So it's London, it's LA, it's Asia, and it's New York City. Beyond that, whether we open others or we work in a franchise situation, working with others that have space that we can borrow and use to inspire a community to some mutual benefit with other people in that community, not sure yet.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lance.
Thank you.
This is an awesome visionary conversation about the YouTube spaces as they expand. Thank you for your insight. And our